Hello again, this is Misha from Natural Medicine Mamas again, and I'm doing another follow-up yard walk, herb walk, weed walk, whatever. And I'm starting here in my perennial garden. Can't remember if I showed you what it looked like in the spring, the whole thing, but this is what it looks like now. It's getting kind of crazy. My sister says that I have a potager garden. It's kind of big jumble, but that's okay. So this is mullein. And as you can see, it's grown quite a bit. This one is probably 4.5 feet tall. The one next to it's a little bit shorter, and the one next to it is probably not going to bloom this year. It's kind of struggling down there. So I'm glad I got these two. And this one is blooming, so I could come out and start picking flowers. Since I've started doing this, I can see why mullein flowers are so expensive to buy, because it's a little bit time consuming. I have to come out and pick each one of these flowers individually, and you have to kind of learn how to grab onto them. So they don't break. So, and let's see if I can show you here really fast how to do that. So you kind of have to grab it here, and you want to be sure and grab the base. So if you go wildcrafting for mullein and on the hillsides or whatever, there you go. You have to kind of grab the base and pull really gently, and then you can get the whole flower. Otherwise, what happens is, oh, that one came out nicely too. Otherwise, the whole flower will kind of break. So anyway, those are my little mullein flowers that I can dry. And you see that I've got some bugs in there, and that doesn't bother me because when I put them out to dry, the bugs all crawl out, so it's not a big deal. All right, I'm going to set these in the leaf here while I keep walking around so they'll be safe. Okay, so also now the Elecampane is blooming. My mom's is huge. I need to do a walk at her house. It's blooming. And it's not the blooms you use in Elecampane, it's the root, so I'm going to let it do its thing. I'll probably collect some seeds from it later. I've got chamomile all over the place. Onions going to seed here. I did want to show you on the carrots, well, in any of these that kind of have these big heads that go to seed. So this is a carrot that's going to seed, and it is in flower, so it is not ready to harvest if you're saving it for seeds. So this is what it looks like in flower, and this is what the onions look like in flower. And when they're done flowering, they kind of get really dried up. I'll try to take another video on that. Oh, this one, here's a dried up onion. So that one's all done blooming and all dried up, so I could pick that one and save it for seeds if I wanted to. And where was the carrot? It doesn't look like I have any carrots that are ready yet. This one's getting close. So this one is done flowering. So here's one that's in flower. This one is finishing flowering. And you want it to have that nice kind of dome shape on it, because if it was in the wild, what that would mean is that it would then kind of spread out the seeds all over the place. And actually this one is getting ready to flower. So that's kind of fun to see all the different stages. I've got raspberries over here. My son needs to come pick. Oh, and I also want to show you how I pick raspberry leaves. So my raspberries are coming up all over the place. But so if I'm when I come out here to pick raspberry leaves, I'm not going to use any of the leaves from these canes that are fruiting, because they need all their energy to go into that fruit, and I want to have good fruit. I'm going to eat this one. Yum. So I'm going to look for the first year canes. So that's these younger looking, smaller kind of canes. That's a broken second year. And then see how they've got 3 leaves here on the stem. When I come out to collect, what I'll do is I'll take one like this and leave the other one. Take one like this, leave the other one. So I'm not taking all the leaves off of the cane, because this little raspberry plant, take that one, needs to be able to store energy in its roots so that it can come up next year, survive the winter, and give me raspberries. So I'm not just going to strip all the leaves. I think there's some places that do that. They'll like pull out the whole cane. And like this one here, I don't really like where this little cane is. So if I have a cane that's in a spot where I don't like it, or this one here, I could pull out the whole thing and then save all those leaves. So that's another way to do it too. Okay. So let's see. I'm going to walk back over here again. My lavender is in flower. Yay! I've been trying to decide if I want to pick any, because I really want it to get nice and strong. I probably will come pick some of these flowers. Here's the bone set. Here's the licorice root. It actually is doing really well. I was worried if you watched that first video, I was worried how it was going to be, but it looks really good. Here's some Echinacea, and it's getting ready to bloom. Pretty exciting. And then this is the fennel. Can you see it has that kind of gray, silvery, purplish foliage? There's some more back there. And then I also wanted to show you, I think I talked in the first video about cutting down the Comfrey. So I've done that with some of my plants. So I've cut, this is the stuff that's all like, it's gone to flower, the flowers are done, and the day that I cut it down, I just didn't quite get to this section. I'll probably end up using some of this for comfrey to make some comfrey tea. But anyway, it kind of shows a good example of how it looks when it's kind of done. You know, like if you were to compare it to alfalfa, it's ready to be cut. And I cut it, these other plants, and see, it's already coming back. So like a couple of days ago, I made some sun tea and just came out and grabbed a leaf and cut it up and threw it in my tea. The yarrow is also doing really good. I'm going to walk over here. And I am so excited about this. This is my elderberry bush. I'm super excited. I've had this, planted this 2 years ago, so last year it really didn't get very tall. It was only little like these. Now it's this branch, it's not a cane, I'm not sure what it's called actually, is almost as tall as I am. Got some more flowers starting up there, and I didn't realize that they smell delicious. They really have a really nice, pleasant smell. I didn't know that because I've never had grown this one before. And normally, you know, I'd want to take advantage of this in flower and gather some of these, but I really want the berries, so I am not going to do that. I'm going to control myself and use the dried elderflowers that I had to order online, and I'm going to let these go to, you know, become berries so that I have my own elderberries. The chokeberries are over here. Here's some service berries. When they turn service berries, I grew this because you can eat it. It does grow in the mountains around us here. It's not it doesn't taste fabulous, but it's not terrible either. So that's why I have it. It is edible. And this is the chokeberry. Got lots of these too. Green. It'll be another month before these are ready probably. I'm going to pause while I walk to the garden. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause. I'm in my garden. I don't know if I mentioned before, but my garden has a weed problem, so I ended up covering quite a bit of it to help get my weeds under control, and you can see here kind of what I'm talking about. And if you look under here, I know it is doing a good job of not getting any of those. Move that rock. There's nothing. You can't see because it's kind of dark, but there's nothing under there. So it is working to put this plastic down. I'm gonna walk over here and show you several different weeds that are all together. So I'm doing this because, you know, these plants are considered weeds. Several of them. Not this. This is a pea. But they're also useful. So, you know, I am going to pull these out. That's also because I'm not having to forage for my food. And to be honest, I do eat some of them when I pull them out. So let me show a few of them. So right here is lamb's quarters. Whole thing is edible all the way down. The seeds, you know, of course, are a good protein source if you let it go to seed. Down here is the one weed that I'm having the most problems with, but is an amazing plant. So this is purslane. This one right here. And that is not it. But this is it. Kind of looks like a succulent a little bit, kind of has a thick leaf. Purslane is really high in omegas. In fact, probably one of the best sources of omegas that you can find in a plant. So the problem with it is that if you cut up the root at all, the root will grow back. So that's part of the reason I have this much purslane here. So when I pull it out, I pull the whole plant out, and then I eat the top. Like that. And I really could eat the whole thing. I just eat the top part. And it kind of has a little bit of a bittery taste. Just a little. But I've kind of gotten used to it. I kind of like it now. And then I'll just put this in my weed bucket and give it to my chickens. We've got some mallow here. Common mallow. This is the one that I made the video on earlier. Here's some shepherd's purse. So it's gone to flower. That's a shepherd's purse flower. There's the leaves down there. You can see the leaves. That's a leaf. That's kind of a wild lettuce. A lot of these are kind of wild lettuces. Let's see, what else was I going to show you in here? There's a wildflower. Those are beets. Beet greens are good to eat too. And the other one I was going to show you is, I think, here. So this is another weed. Pig's weed, or pig's ear, sometimes it's called. It's really like a wild amaranth. Also edible. Seeds, lots of protein. Interesting thing about this plant, so this is a cultivated amaranth. This one is actually kind of a variety that I now have growing in my garden because I've let it go to seed so much. I've had amaranth in my garden for several years now. I started with the red variety, and I also planted the golden variety, and now I kind of get this hybrid one from time to time. Amaranth, really high in protein, is a little bit difficult to get the seeds. It is a labor of love, but the seeds are also another great source of protein. So this is a volunteer from last year, so I'm going to let it go to seed. I'll collect some of the seeds because this is kind of a cool looking one. It looks like I've tried to keep the ones that don't have too many side shoots, that just have a nice straight stalk, and this one does. So I would probably collect the seeds from this one too. Also wanted to point out that I also have some of this crane's bill in here as well. Again, it's from my first video, another edible plant. The last thing I wanted to show you is the difference between dill and carrot. Okay, so here is some dill. That is dill. Really, really fine leaf. Fine leaf pattern. And then carrot, I'm going to have to pause and walk over here. Okay, so this is carrot. Oh, and by golly, we've got two of them right next to each other here. This is dill. See how it's a little bit darker green? Straighter kind of pattern. This is carrot. So, there's some more carrots. There you go. There's some more of my volunteer amaranth. So that's the Midsummer Herb Walk. Thanks for watching. Talk to you next time.